Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra, the latest addition to watches with extreme price tags and some extreme tolerances to the elements. I'd like to thank Mr. Langton, one of my viewers and old gaming mate who graciously lent me this $650 timepiece for a week just for you guys. It's a big watch, there is no running away from it. Interesting how it's got a circular watch face and a square body. It doesn't particularly look like an efficient design choice. The box is pretty lean. All you get is the watch, one set of bands, the wireless charging pack, and a heap of paperwork. I kinda wish they added a second set of bands that are a bit more toned down for scenarios where you just wanna dress down. My experience setting up the Galaxy Watch Ultra on the Google Pixel 6 was, let's call it elaborate. I had to download the Gear application, install the Galaxy Watch 7 plugin, install Smart Switch, and then install Samsung Health. Ordinarily, all these apps come pre-installed on Samsung smartphones, and I'm sure it would be a much smoother setup process. Not so much for the rest of us. This was my first time using a full-blown smartwatch, and I'll dive deeper into my levels in my smartwatch aya because not all smartwatches are equal, even more so when they come with Ultra or Ultimate in the name. So make sure you subscribe for that one. Back to the Galaxy Watch Ultra. It's running Android's Wear OS 5 with some One UI Watch 6 customizations on top. This pretty much gives the watch access to the Google Play Store, meaning access to a collection of apps that we're used to using on our smartphones but adapted to work on a watch. I'm talking Spotify, WhatsApp, Shazam, Google Music, and Gmail, just to name a few. Navigation is a bit different from my Huawei Watch GT2, so I had to remember that this Galaxy Watch Ultra has a dedicated back button versus a swipe from the extreme left on the Huawei. Small things. Swiping from the extreme left seemed to switch between tiles on the Galaxy Watch Ultra. I have to say, it didn't really feel intuitive because even on my phone I have navigation gestures on, and a swipe from the left or right is to go back a screen or leave an app, and it really feels natural, but that's just me. You've got tiles with your favorite apps or services all in a place that's easy to find. You can flip through all of those and add 16 more screens if you like, so all your favorites are a swipe away rather than buried in a menu or an app drawer. You can really go nuts with customizing the buttons, I mean nuts. The action button has your fitness routine as the default option, and you can pick your most frequently tracked exercise routine. Outside of that, you can map it to a stopwatch, a flashlight, water lock, or not map it to anything at all. The back button, aka the top one, can get you back to the watch face with a single press, launch your most recent app with a double press, or be mapped to any app or service installed on the watch like Google Assistant. A long press is set to launch Bixby by default, but you can remap that to Google Assistant or the power off menu. The back button, which you guessed is the bottom one, can only be remapped to go to the previous screen and show the most recent apps. As a first-time user of a fully fledged smartwatch, here are my 5 wins using it. Hardware powering the Galaxy Watch Ultra gives it features like Wi-Fi, LTE, and a richer watch experience, mostly thanks to Wear OS, but we can't discount the hardware making it happen. I was viewing GIFs on the watch from WhatsApp, bruh. Crazy haptics. The notification vibration from the watch eerily felt like someone's finger was tapping on my wrist. The quality and detail of the vibration does a good job of grabbing your attention, but without being vulgar about it. With a full charge, I was able to just squeeze 3 days out of it. Mind you, LTE was disabled. Unfortunately, all Zimbabwean mobile operators do not support LTE-enabled wearables yet, restricting its communication only to Wi-Fi whenever it is available. Weirdly enough, I didn't see a noticeable change in endurance with the always-on display on versus when it's off. That Super AMOLED display is a joy to use in the blinding African sun. It's very bright and legible, and honestly, it made me realize just how bad the screen dimming is on the Pixel 6. Because it's running Wear OS, it supports LTE and Wi-Fi, and it has 2 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage. This makes it capable of running independently with watch versions of the apps that you have on your phone. So it's the closest thing to having a phone on your wrist, so long you ignore that Motorola concept phone. That said, not all that glitters is gold. There are a couple of quirks I found using it. If you're not using a Samsung smartphone, trust me, you will not enjoy the setup process. Install Galaxy Watch 7 plugin, install Smart Switch, and then install Samsung's Health app. Each of these apps also comes with its own list of demands, and it's long. I'm using the Google Pixel 6, and getting my Huawei watch up and running took a lot less effort than with the Galaxy Watch Ultra. Some of the highlight features on this watch, like ECG and BP measurement, only work with a Samsung smartphone. So if those are important to you, you're gonna have to use a Samsung. I know this one will get you asking kuti how far comrade, but let me explain. For this class of watch, the 3-day battery life is pretty good. However, I have been spoiled by a watch that can do 10 days before it needs a charge. I can walk out of the house with 10% left on my Huawei watch, and I would probably still have close to 2 days of regular fitness tracking left. Not with this one. 10% was 5 hours at best according to the battery estimate, but it ended up dying far much sooner than the 5 hours the battery estimate had stated. It was really odd, but I had several instances where I'd get inconsistent delivery of my notifications. My phone would sound a notification and I would raise my hand to take a pic at it, and nothing. This meant I then had to fumble around looking for my phone, then check the notification from there. And we can't blame the fact that I'm using this Samsung watch on a Google Pixel. I have never faced this issue in my 3 years of using my Huawei watch on all the different devices that I've used it on. This last one is a bit of a nitpick. One of the side effects of wireless charging is it generates some heat. This Galaxy Watch Ultra uses wireless charging and it gets very warm when it's charging. Inotoda utomboburwa pa charger yombotonora before you decide to slap it on your wrist. My hot take on the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra is this. It's huge. It's packing some capable hardware, bags of sensors and features. It was a much richer experience than what I was used to with my mid-range Huawei watch. I thought a fully fledged smartwatch was pointless. After using the Galaxy Watch Ultra, I still think it's pointless, but with context. The Huawei watch that I have does 90% of what the Galaxy Watch Ultra can do, but at half the price. The only stuff I'm missing out on is Wi-Fi and LTE, which I don't need on a watch, the ability to run some smartphone apps natively on the watch, which I see being useful in some very niche cases, and the richer interactive experience thanks to Wear OS, which I admit is kind of nice. That said, because, well, so it's possible that my next watch upgrade will be a full-blown smartwatch, but from Huawei, because they own all my health data for the past 3 years, and I'm not about to lose all of that data switching brands. It's actually one of the biggest decisions that every first-time smartwatch buyer will need to consider. I've got some thoughts on that are coming up in a video soon, so see you in the next one.